Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Today you're going to be joining me driving a 2022 Audi A3. You join me now inside the 2022 Audi A3. This one is a Premium Plus trim. It does have adaptive cruise assist, does have the black optic sport package and 18-inch wheel package as well. Sticker on this one is $42,490. And let's get going. We're going to be doing a little bit of a mix of lower speed and higher speed driving. Start it by pressing the start button here. We do have the smaller instrument cluster screen here as well. And we're going to be heading from Lyon, Colorado to Denver, Colorado. Let's get started. This 2022 Audi A3 uses a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. It has a small mild hybrid system, uses an alternator generator system, and that can give you a boost of 12 horsepower or 37 foot-pounds of torque. And it can actually do regen up to 12 kilowatt as well. There's a small 48-volt battery underneath the passenger side seat, and it does have a DC to DC converter under the driver's side seat. And it has auto start, stop, and that mild hybrid system is part of that. Acceleration is pretty good. This is a Quattro model. This is not the front wheel drive version. I would have a hard time recommending the front wheel drive version when there's Quattro available. It just tends to be better resale, just better driving experience. I don't understand why people really buy front wheel drive Audis, but that's just me. Certainly if that's what you want to get and it meets your needs, by all means save $2,000, but for me personally, I would spend the extra $2,000 and get Quattro. And we're going to be cruising these beautiful Colorado roads and head towards Denver. So far, ride comfort is quite good. I don't see... So it does have a soaring mode, as Audi calls it, or gliding mode. Basically, it just goes along with the engine off. Don't see any way for regen to be a thing, or how you do regen on this, or if there's any way to see it more specifically. I'm sure yeah, I don't see any display here indicating regen. It does have a little area below the tachometer, so that might be part of it. This vehicle does have what Audi calls their 7-speed S-tronic transmission. You can manually control it with the paddles on the steering wheel. You also have a sport mode that you can use on the gear selector here. And it is just a beautiful day here in Colorado. And I just reset the trip meter here, trying to get a good idea of our fuel economy as best as we can. Obviously, it's not the most exact thing. You'll want to calculate fuel economy with actually filling it up and hand calculating it to get the best idea of fuel economy. Okay, so if you go onto the instant consumption screen, I'm not sure if you can see that, it does have a little regen indicator, so that's nice. So let's get up to speed here, and then, okay, then it will charge the battery. Let's see if we have any way to view the battery status. Overall ride comfort is quite good. These seats are not quite as good as the S3 Sport seats, but more than adequate for not as sporty driving, which I think will be the majority of driving for A3 owners. If you have a sunshade up above with a shade, I always appreciate a shade. It does seem to cut in the headroom quite a bit though, so I don't believe there's an option to not get one, unfortunately, for tall people like me, but I do have adequate headroom. But if I was much taller, I would not have very much headroom. There's probably about an inch above my head or so. Visibility is good, like on the S3. And let's just slow down a little bit here. So right now we're gliding, and if we floor it, has pretty good acceleration. Certainly can get out of its own way. Not sporty performance, but that's what the S3 and the RS3 are for. You can control what's displayed on the infotainment screen here, or sorry, the instrument cluster screen here with the steering wheel controls. So you've kind of got different categories going side to side. And then you have different menus within each category if you go up and down with the scroll wheel. You've also got voice command, you've got call function, and you've got audio controls here, volume up and down with the scroll wheel, skip forward and back with the buttons. You've got your programmable special button. You've got your view button that can switch between completely different instrument cluster views. Gives you a lot of flexibility. You've got some light controls here. It does have a rear fog like a lot of Audis do. You've got your bad weather lighting, or sorry, all weather lighting as Audi calls them. Those have kind of replaced fog lights. It does have auto headlights, of course, in this segment. Over on the door, you've got your memory seat functions. You've got 1 and 2 and set. You have your steering or seat controls on the side of the seat, and you've got forward, backward, up, down. You've got lumbar and the back tilt, of course. Steering wheel is manually adjusting. It is tilt and telescope. I wish it did come out slightly farther as a fairly tall person, but that's just being a little nitpicky here. For most people, it will be totally fine. Up above, you got your vanity lights. You've got sunroof controls, lights, lock, unlock. You've actually got a row of controls below the instrument cluster. You do have physical buttons for the climate control, which I like a lot. You've got auto climate, sync function, defrost, heated seats. You can turn off the climate if you want. Temperature up, down, fan up, down, different modes. You've got max, eco, on, off. The different blowing areas and passenger side temperature. And then you've got auto or manual recirc and passenger side seat heater. And going below that, you've got your drive select, stability control, auto start stop, on off, hazards, park assist, or sorry, park distance warning and park assist. Down below that, you've got a little Qi wireless charger, and you have 2 USB-C ports. There's some nice aluminum trim in here. Does typical Audi cup holders, which are not great. I feel like they kind of interfere with the armrest. So if you have to have the armrest out or down, you're going to be blocking your cup holder, like with my coffee and water, which I think is a pretty typical thing to have in the cup holder. Or if you have a passenger in the car, there's a good chance you might have 2 drinks. Got a 12-volt outlet, little plastic plug, nice to have. Electronic parking brake down below here. Armrest does go up, down, in, out. And you've got a little cubby, but certainly not a huge cubby. It's a little louder than I would expect for a car in this category. I've driven some Volkswagens at lower price points and they're quieter. So it's a little surprising, but it's not bad. It's just not quite as good as I would hope for. And fuel economy, so far we're averaging 29.8 mpg, pretty darn good. And this vehicle actually has slightly less power than the outgoing Audi A3, which is a little bit of a strange move, but speaking to the Audi team, they prioritized fuel economy and increasing it versus power, and they wanted about 100 horsepower gap between the A3, S3, and RS3. So A3 is about 200 horsepower, S3 is about 300 horsepower, and then when the RS3 comes, it should be about 400 horsepower. And these vehicles are actually arriving to dealers as we speak. And this vehicle is rated for 36 mpg highway, 28 city, 31 combined. In this pretty limited drive, we've driven about 10 miles. We're averaging 47 miles per gallon. My apologies, I was looking at the long-term memory here for the 97 miles. And that was 30 mpg, which is also pretty solid. Lumbar on this car actually seems to be better than on the S3 with the sports seat, so I like that. Let's try out the sunroof. Oh, I'm glad it doesn't pull the shade with it if you open the sunroof. Sometimes I do like to have the sunroof open with the shade in place on some of my previous cars that I've owned. So that way you get a little bit less air coming in, or if you want to have it open, you don't get any bugs or anything coming in, but you still get some of that open air feel. And this is the style sunroof that it goes out above the car rather than going out by going into the rear of the roof. I believe the roof is probably too short for it to go inside, would be my guess, or it would reduce the rear headroom too much. Pretty quick open and close. Pause there for a second, which was a little strange, even though I pushed it all the way forward until it clicked so that it would shut it itself. Pretty heavily tinted, so that's nice. If you're hearing a slight rattle, that's actually my coffee cup here. My apologies on that. But ride comfort is pretty good. It's a little on the firm side, but comfortable. Not harsh or anything like that. I think it would be comfortable to take a road trip in this car. And this one does not have the adaptive dampers like the S3 does with the Sport package. And I'll leave you guys until I get onto the interstate and can give you a good idea of noise, comfort, all that fun stuff at a little bit higher speeds. You join me now on a little bit higher speed road. We're headed from Boulder to Denver. And MPG update, we're at 40.2 MPG over 16 miles. Not bad. We're driving on grooved concrete, and I would say the noise level is acceptable, but certainly nothing spectacular. But overall, pretty comfortable place to be. Seat goes back nice and back and far. I'm 6'2" and it's comfortable. Deciding to take a detour here. Brake feel is not amazing. You have to press a little deep into the pedal to get much actual braking. But I want to see how it was if I romp on it a little bit. Certainly has adequate power based on my time with the S3. I think this would handle some mountain roads pretty well. Certainly wouldn't be too exciting, but it would get the job done. Wouldn't be unsafe, and it would be decently quick. And as we drive along here, I want to wrap this up. The A3 is not particularly exciting, but that's what the S3 and RS3 exist for. A3 is adequately powered, not particularly exciting, but it's comfortable, pretty well equipped, comfortable place to be, and it can go on the mountain roads. It can take you to work every day and get pretty good fuel economy. If you're in the market for a stylish A-segment sedan, this might be the choice for you. What do you guys think? Comment down below. We'll see you on the next one.